When should Python use raw SQL versus ORM for SQLite? Imagine you're building a small app or script in Python that needs to talk to a SQLite database. You might wonder whether to write raw SQL commands or use an object-oriented approach with an object-relational mapper. The answer depends on what your project needs and how comfortable you are with SQL. Raw SQL gives you direct control over your database queries. If you want to use specific features of SQLite or write complex queries that might be tricky to do with an ORM, raw SQL is your friend. It's also good if you're working on a simple script where adding an ORM might be overkill. But remember, writing raw SQL means you need to be careful about security issues like SQL injection. You also have to handle the results manually, which can be a bit more work. On the other hand, ORMs like SQLAlchemy let you work in Python code that feels natural. Instead of writing SQL, you define classes and objects that representing your database tables and rows. This makes your code easier to read and maintain, especially if your database has many relationships or you plan to change the schema often. ORMs also help prevent common security problems because they automatically handle query parameters. But they do add some overhead and might not support all the advanced features of SQLite. So, if your application involves complex data relationships or you want to write less code and avoid dealing with raw SQL, an ORM is a good choice. It's also helpful if you want to make your code more portable or easier to update later. For simple projects or when performance is critical, raw SQL can be faster and more straightforward. If you're working on a small app or a quick prototype, raw SQL might be the way to go. For larger, evolving projects with lots of data interactions, using an ORM can save you time and reduce errors. With SQLite being a lightweight, file-based database, ORMs like SQLAlchemy make it easy to write Python code that interacts smoothly with your database. But if you need to squeeze out every bit of performance or want to use very specific SQLite features, raw SQL is still a solid option. To sum it up, choose raw SQL when you need precise control or are working on simple tasks. Opt for an ORM when your project is bigger, more complex, or you want to write cleaner, more maintainable code. Both methods have their place, and knowing when to use each can make your Python database work much smoother.